People laugh loudly, but Hope stands calm and says he will fix the broken system someday. Writers smirk and joke while making headlines about a famous cricket hero entering politics today seriously. Hope studies his injury papers while nearby faces doubt he can return stronger after deep pain. Hope shares his hospital dream for poor families, while rich donors nod politely, yet doubt privately. In a small room, Hope gathers first supporters and starts speaking about justice, courage, and change. Hope writes the movement rules on a chalkboard, while the first members watch with full belief. After the meeting, Hope walks outside and sees city life moving on like nothing important started. Hope and volunteers approve their first leaflets and posters, giving the young movement its public face. Volunteers lift the first banner high, while Hope watches below, measuring this fragile and hopeful beginning. Hope announces the movement to reporters, answering questions while amused faces trade knowing looks nearby today. A columnist writes coldly, calling Hope's political dream little more than celebrity pride and reckless overreach. Powerful elites discuss Hope's movement like a funny impossibility, while he quietly studies their reactions carefully. Hope walks government halls as an outsider, watching how power works hard to protect itself daily. Late at night, Hope studies books and notes, learning how power is built and preserved carefully. After everyone leaves, Hope sits alone, thankful for believers, yet aware the road ahead is enormous. Hope submits papers to register the movement while clerks handle everything with bored routine and indifference. Hope walks with residents through neglected streets, listening as they show years of abandonment around them. Hope gives an early speech to few listeners, speaking as if the whole nation were present. Young volunteers campaign through the market, while Hope stops often to speak with ordinary people directly. Hope travels many hours by road with supporters to reach another town where nobody expects him. Hope and his team study tiny finances, stretching every small resource to keep the movement alive. Hope looks around at his few believers and draws strength from their steady presence this night. At sunrise above the city, Hope accepts the huge struggle and long road he has chosen. Hope arrives in a village and speaks to a tiny crowd about justice and national change. Standing on a vehicle, Hope gives a brave full speech to a crowd much smaller today. Hope climbs onto a wooden crate so listeners can see him while he speaks about tomorrow. Hope's small convoy crosses the country again, chasing another campaign stop in another forgotten place today. Hope tries convincing important people reform is necessary, but they answer with polite smiles and distance. Hope prepares to speak, even though the turnout is much smaller than anyone hoped it would. Early election results show another loss, as Hope and his team receive the news in silence. Television analysts explain calmly why Hope's movement still has not become important across the nation yet. Hope's team celebrates one small seat victory, while knowing the bigger national breakthrough still waits ahead. Supporters chant and wave flags around Hope after the win, but he keeps the moment measured. Hope begins another campaign, while old signs from past attempts still cling to nearby walls stubbornly. Heavy rain falls, yet Hope keeps traveling toward places older parties visit only when needing votes. Over tea, locals tell Hope why they no longer trust any party or promise any more now. A few volunteers work quietly, while exhaustion and loss make the weak movement impossible to ignore. An old friend gently tells Hope he cannot continue after years of waiting without real change. A former ally resigns publicly, calling departure the realistic choice after too many failures together now. Under studio lights, a former supporter says Hope's movement is unrealistic and cannot truly succeed now. Hope stands alone in the office, staring at empty chairs once filled by trusted companions before. Deep at night, Hope sits alone, feeling the pain of departures, but refusing to break apart. Hope's team starts another campaign, covering old scars with new posters and fresh determination everywhere again. Hope gives another speech to a modest crowd, refusing to weaken his message for numbers alone. Editors decide Hope's story has changed from hero to failure and shape tomorrow's coverage carefully tonight. After another public failure, Hope studies his reflection and wonders if he is wrong or unfinished. At dawn, Hope trains alone, using hard physical discipline to steady his tired but stubborn mind. After ridicule and doubt, Hope returns to the road and keeps meeting neglected communities once more. Hope goes door to door and street to street, speaking directly with residents face to face. Another election count confirms Hope's movement still cannot break through nationally, after many hard years past. Heartbroken teammates react to defeat, while Hope steadies the room through calm and quiet strength alone. After 15 years of setbacks, Hope sits back at his desk and begins again, anyway today. Alone at his desk, Hope opens a thick book and starts a new season studying hard. Hope walks between tall shelves, choosing books about empire reform and the rise of civilizations worldwide. Hope compares timelines and systems, mapping how nations rise through institutions and fall through corruption slowly. Hope kneels in quiet prayer, then reaches for sacred words and reads with deep focus tonight. Hope studies teachings on justice, duty, and accountability. Hope sits with a quiet scholar, listening carefully, as deep failures in governance are explained clearly. The scholar points at diagrams, while Hope studies how old systems keep rebuilding and protecting themselves. An economist shows Hope numbers proving real reform costs, much yet remains financially possible today still. Hope takes notes as the economist explains that weak will not, money blocks reform most often. Hope listens, while a senior lawyer explains how law fails when powerful people fear nothing anymore. The lawyer spreads case files across the desk as Hope studies delayed and denied justice carefully. Over tea, a retired civil servant tells Hope stories about compromise inside broken government structures daily. Hope stands before a wall of notes linking corruption law, money, and public trust together clearly. Hope sits with teachers and researchers, inviting criticism and learning through difficult, honest questions together tonight. Hope walks alone through a courtyard, carrying notes and thinking deeply after hard conversations end tonight. Before speaking publicly, Hope reviews notes calmly, ready, with more precision and stronger confidence than before. Hope speaks with new clarity and depth, surprising observers with his understanding of the system fully. Young people stop and study Hope's posters with fresh curiosity instead of their old indifference now. Students watch Hope online and react with surprise because his words match their frustrations exactly today. Young women gather around a screen discussing Hope's message with rising seriousness and excitement together tonight. Young volunteers flood the office, signing up calling people and turning effort into real movement fast. Supporters paste posters, hand out flyers, and explain the movement excitedly to skeptical neighbors nearby today. A family watches Hope on television, and younger voices argue as elders begin reconsidering him seriously. Students share clips, debate ideas, and realize Hope's support is far bigger than imagined before today. Volunteers post clips, quickly answer messages, and connect supporters across cities in real time daily. Hope steps onto the stage and sees a crowd larger and louder than old years before. As Hope begins speaking, the crowd's energy tells him the political weather has truly changed now. Commentators who once mocked Hope stare at new footage and quietly rethink their certainty tonight together. Hope rides slowly through cheering streets as unexpected crowds gather far beyond every plan made earlier. More crowds pour in from everywhere, overwhelming roads and gates, while volunteers struggle to cope today. Backstage, Hope hears the giant crowd before seeing it and takes one long, steady breath alone. Hope steps onto the stage and sees hundreds of thousands before him for the first time. Hope stands silently before speaking, overwhelmed by proof that he is no longer walking alone now. Hope finally speaks, and the crowd erupts as years of discipline meet their rightful moment today. The camera rises above the rally, revealing the movement's massive. Hope stands at the peak. Moment as the movement fully arrives, impossible to ignore ever again.